Good evening, everyone. My name is Sudeep Kumar. I'm very happy to have you all here with me today in this webinar session. And I hope everybody is safe at home and wishing you Ramadan Kareem. So, my topic today is ensuring high availability and disaster recovery on your GIS infrastructure. This topic is very important. The people, this will help the customer, those who are planning to have a successful GIS implementation, and also the people who are part of this implementation, especially the IT and your GIS administrator and GIS manager, and all the people who are those who are working closely with the GIS system. I just want to highlight before I want to go through the session, what is the importance of like to have, why we need to have this high availability and disaster recovery for your environment. So let's discuss. See, you can see here these two risks that I want to focus on this session. So this session, you can see that one, like the data loss and the downtime. These risks can worstly affect the customer, the business operations, and valuable time and money. Can any of your company can tolerate with a days worth of data loss, or the system is unavailable for like couple of days or weeks? See, nobody can accept, right? So in this session, I want to go through some different ways to minimize these risks. So let's see, these are the three approaches I am going to focusing on. And the first approach is, you can see the backup. The backup, you is familiar, like you can take the snapshot of your environment and data at a point of time and store in a secure location, and you can apply if there is any failure. And the next approach is the high availability. And you can see high availability, that means there is no single point of failure within your data center. Multiple machine with the same roles and function, and one goes down, another will continue performing the same operation. And the last approach is the disaster recovery by using the geographic redundancy. If you have a multiple data center, configure identically and also replicate the data between the data centers. An event happen like any data center level failure, you can easily flip the primary data center to the standby and continue your normal operations. So in this session, also these three approaches are not exclusive. Actually, we cannot choose only one. Actually, it is complement each other. So in order to have a proper like successful implementation, you need to have all this. You need to consider all this approach. So I'm going in details. So I am like just I will start from I'll start with the high availability first. Then we'll talk about the disaster recovery. Then talk more about the backups. And at the end of the session, we can have questions if you have any. So let's focus on the high availability. So we'll talk about what is high availability and what are the, then we'll talk about RGS enterprise high availability, all the components part of RGS enterprise, and how we can upgrade, and also some in the end the some key points we want to keep in mind when you have a to deploy a highly available architecture. So high availability is basically a system that continue working for the length of time and of your desire, and the length of time can be measured by SLAs. So also the availability is like based on 99. The customer will say that I need to have 99.9. So each 9 we add, actually that will cost more. That most of the IT people knows that. And also the key component, a key for the high availability is to eliminate the single point of failure. So your deployment won't goes down because of failure one single component, right? So this one, of course, like also the availabilities depends on all the components, not just for the RGS enterprise. So I'm going to focus here like more focus on the like RGS enterprise, how we can make highly available. So quick overview, most of the people are familiar with that one. What is RGS enterprise? So these are the three major components for the major application we can say. For the RGS enterprise, the portal for RGS, RGS server, and RGS data store. Also, the web adapter is tied with the portal and GIS servers. And we will cover discussing more about the web adapter in portal and the GIS server session. So let's focus our first component, the portal for RGS. See the portal, you can see this is the highly available deployment of the portal. So you can see here 2 portal machines and need a load balancing in front of it, and the portal content to be shared between the portal machines. So these 2 machines can take the request, both can take the request like an active, but internally, like there is a difference. It will, the role wise, it has a difference. You can see in the attachment, the screenshot here. See, these are the, like, I have 2 machines here, and you can see where the machine one of the machine has the role is the machine 1 has the primary and another one has the standby. So also this behaves a little bit differently. Okay, I can explain you like, for example, if your standby goes down, okay, there is no interruption. Like your people will not have an interruption of that one. In case of actually the primary goes down, maybe like your user will notice that the internet fees or little bit, or it seems like a little bit slow and recover. And that's how it feel like less than 30 seconds of like just to switch over the standby become the primary. This is the only thing we need to notice when you have the highly available portal. So I told you before, like the portal need to be connected with the load balancing option. We have 2 options to connect the portal with the load balancing. One with the traditional way, like with this 3 RGS web adapter. So in this configuration, you need to have 2 web servers, and it will support the web tier authentication, and the availability depends on the always like the web servers. We need an IIS web server or Apache required to configure that with the web adapter. The another approach is with the third-party load balancer. So directly the portal you can connect with the load balancer together. Okay, the request is directly going, and load balancer need to have different configuration. If you put all together in the high available, when you put together in the high available, so the first one you can see it here with directly with the load balancer. There is no web adapter here, but here like there is certain configuration has to be done in the load balancer, and it doesn't support the web tier authentication. For example, if you want the single sign-on to be configured, this kind of environment, this kind of requirement, this environment will support. The other option is with the web adapter. In this case, we need to have 2 additional machines in front of your like the portal, and this web server is connected with the load balancer, and the web adapters we need to install not only single one in the both machine, and this web adapter will configured with the portal. Of course, you need to have the shared content directory, and it will support the web tier authentication. And when you look at this like when you once you have the portal highly available system, how we can check actually whether my system is highly available, can take the request. By default, the portal will provide the built-in out of the box actually the health check endpoints. You can go through this health check endpoint and you can check it. I will show you in the demo like how we can check that one, and we can, based on that one, we can define actually the portal can really take the request or not. And also if you want actually to have a customized health check, keep checking the health check, and if you have any tool to monitor, that also we can configure. So these are the main thing for the portal highly available. Then we will look at how we can like upgrade. This is also very important. Like how, like if you have a highly available portal, how we can upgrade. That's also we need to be careful. Like we need to see that one. Of course, like first we need required a downtime. So we need to plan like when we have to do the upgrade without affecting your business user, and also the practice. Like always, like we recommend not to use in the production directly. You can upgrade on the staging and see the implication. If you have an integration or something, check it fast, then you can start the upgrade. Also, you need to consider the backup. So we need to have the proper backup. Then we upgrade. Also need to plan the rollback plan. If the upgrade fail, how we can come back to the previous version. All these things we need to consider. And the recommended step for the basically, like, you can start with the standby node, then run the setup on the primary, and run the upgrade on the primary. This is actually previous version, like a 10.5, 4 to 6. This is the version, but 10.7 onwards, no need to see actually these roles. You can upgrade, you can start simultaneously install, and you can upgrade from any of these nodes. There is no problem with that one. And like, for example, if you want to have a single machine upgrade, it's similar. Like, just only you have primary, you can just start upgrading the portal. So these are the key consideration, like we need to be when you have the portal HA. So you need to have, just to keep in mind, you need to have 2 portal machine. One, the role will be standby, and highly available load balancer required. And also we need to keep checking the health check the portal, whether both the servers are up and running. And we need to also have the highly available shared content. The content also should be highly available. And if you are planning to have the upgrade or anything, you need to consider the downtime and also consider the upgrade orders. So this is all about the portal. Now let's move to another component, that is RJ server. RJ server, like the multiple machine, you can see the multiple machine deployments, not like just 2 machine like the portal. You can have like multiple machine and multiple site in RJ server, and each machines have the identical role. It's active, like role we can see, and no interruption. Like if you have planning for any machine down, it will not have an interruption because other will continue operate. And also the config store, like, and the directory should be for all the servers should be in a common location. That is also should be highly available. And that's for the RJ server. But actually, when you consider also the RJ server to have a highly available environment, so you need to have a load balancer. We have these 2 options. The first, you can see like directly connected, like unlike the portal, you can directly use the the load balancer connected to the RJ server machines. The another approach is with the web adapter. So you need to have 2 web servers, and you can connect to the load balancer will connect it to the web server, and this web server will install the web adapters. And also we need to consider 2 web adapters to be installed in both the machines. And the config store should be accessible from all the machines. And similar to the portal, there is a health check option also will be available. And like from the by default, you can check the health check for the system, all the machines in the RJ site. It's like working, like there's healthy or not. You can keep checking. And when you upgrade, there is no like big issues here. Like all machines have the same node, and also downtime itself. For example, if you're doing only one machine, that machine will be down. Actually, other will continue operate. You can parallelly upgrade. And the next one, actually, you know that typically you probably know that one. Okay, the RJ server and need to be federated with the portal to work together, right? So in this case, like what we need to consider, there are certain like important URL you need to be pay attention. And you can see here, there is a portal URL and there is a service URL connected, that is connected with this NLB. And in the down, you can see there is a private URL for the portal. This is basically for the to admin the portal. And also here you can have the server admin URL. So make sure before you federate, you need to have the communication. Like you need to check that one from the server machine. You can access the portal, both the URL, and the same way from the portal, you need to have the communication. Like you need to access this URL. Once you have like verified this communication is proper, then from the server, from the portal machine, you can add here. Like this is the way you will federate the RJ server with the portal. So you will provide the service URL, that is this one, and also will provide the administrative URL. Once you give the username and password for the portal, it will, like the federation will happen, add to the server. once the federation happened, from the server side, if you go to the server security, and if you have go to the config, you can see the portal URL is updated on the server side. So you can see two portal, the private and the public URL is already attached to this configuration. And when you look at this is for the single machine, then if you are having the highly available, so we need to consider these URLs to be connected with your load balancer, and these make sure this URL also is highly available. If you connect it with the load balancer, you can see this portal, this public URL is highly available. The same way the server also, the service URL is highly available. And in the down, you have the portal, the private URL for the admin also to be connected with the load balancer. Because otherwise what will happen in the server also to be connected. If you put the single server name as the admin URL, in case of that machine fail, actually some of the operation will be affected. So this we can do either you can have a different set of load balancer here, or you can have the same load balancer with different ports. One it's with 443 and this one we can with the 7443 and the RGS port. So this is the way actually we need to, like when you want to federate with RGS server with the portal, we need to consider this. I think it's clear. Then now it's here, the key consideration for the portal high available. You can see the config store should be highly available and the directory and the health check and also the highly available portal and private and the public URL and service URL and admin URL should be also highly available. And you need to consider like how to install and upgrade all the machine, all we discussed already. Now, another like the last component for the major component for the, and also like this is like one of the application like that is called the data store. The data store application lets you to configure the data storage for the hosting servers used with your RGS Enterprise portal. There are three types of data store we have, like a relational data store that allows your portal to host the feature layer. And another one actually for the tile cache. So tile cache data store, it is the portal to allow to host the scene layer. And the next one is the spatial temporal, that is a big data store. And if you want to have the real-time big data used for geo event and geo analytics, we'll use that one. So here I am like actually first I am considering the relational data store. This has two roles basically. It will work like a primary and standby. Always the data store, we need to have a RGS server side to be configure. So whenever you have a data store, like all the configuration and the installation file will be stored in individual machine. Only thing the data store we need to consider it you will have the enough space on your where you are installing the data store. And once you configure the primary, then it will want to with the site, then it will nominate as a primary. When you add a secondary to the same site, it will say already primary is there, then it will nominate as a standby. And when you consider about the in 10.8 and onwards, like if you consider the real the tile cache and the spatial, if you want to make highly available, minimum you need to have 3 machines, because this will work in an odd number fashion, like 3, or you can have 5. That number of machines we need to have highly available. For like the relational, you need to have only the 2 machines. So for in case if anything failure happen on the data center database data store, the request will go to the standby and it will serve your operation. And here also I want to discuss the failover scenarios for the data store is different than the portal and server. So here there are certain things actually. These are the if for example computer crashes, get your power unplugged or network, there is a loss of network connectivity, all these kind of things, automatically the data store will flip. But if you want to plan to have the planned shutdown for the primary or the stop the service, these kind of things, actually it will automatically, it will not move to the standby. So you need to have there's a detailed document, actually it's mentioned in the history itself, what are the scenarios for the the failover scenario for the RGS data store. So you can see upgrade is also very simple. Like you can do like run the setup on both machines and you can upgrade. No need to take the role from the 10.8. Like you can parallelly upgrade and you can configure it. There's no big like thing to be considered for the data store. And relational tile cache are same. So when you put together all this component, like you can see here, now we put all the RGS Enterprise highly available setup for the base deployment. So you can see here, every single component is highly available. See here, you can see here, like RGS server, portal, and the server, and everything is highly available. And also, like when you want to upgrade, the upgrade order also, like we need to do your portal first, then both the machine, then we need to have, if you, for example, if you configure with web adapter, you need to web adapter normally, like the upgrade like means you need to uninstall and install it back and configure back again. Then the next one is the server, all the servers in your site. Then if you have a web adapter configure, you need to uninstall and configure it. And finally the RGS data store. So let's have a quick demo. Like I will show you like one of my environment which I configured here. You can see here, this is my highly available portal, the base deployment Exchange Stack I configured here. So you can see like I am accessing my portal, not with the computer name. This is my external, the public URL, gismap.gstack.com. So I open this servers. So behind, you can see that one, if you go to the portal admin, if you click on the machines, so let me log in. So you can see the two machines, which is part of the portal HA. So one is the web one is the primary right now, and web 2 is the standby. So you can check like here the health check I told you right before, like so you can click on the status to always give you that the status of both the machine. So you can see the standby and both it is showing always like the result, the healthy and portal is ready. That means this portal is ready to take the request. This is the way you can check your portal. And also like I configured the portal with both the URLs I talk about, right? The portal is configured with the web context. You can see here, this is my public URL, and internally also like with the portal, the admin URL also highly available. I'm not nowhere I use the machine name. So that means like there is no point of failure. Everything is highly available in consideration of portal. Also, you can see, you can validate the federation, you can validate from here. So these all things actually from the portal side you can do. Then next one is I'm talking about the RGS server. The similar way, like the RGS server also we have. So I can show you. See, there are two RGS server machine you can see here. And both having, there is no role here, both are having the same active. And this is the way you can check whether it is started or the health check from here. The both machine you can check it. And as I told you before, like in when you do the federation, what is happening in the server side. So when you do the federation, you can see here the portal URL, both the private and public URL will be configured here, as well as you can see the role of the portal and the server URL, you can see it. So that means actually this server is federated, and also it has a role because of the data store. It is a hosting server role. The relational is already configured here. So these are the things for the server. So next one is the data store. So first, actually, I will look at the relational data store. You can see another two machine I configured for here for the data store. So here, this is the relational data store in 10.8, and you can see, as I told you, the first one, this machine, the test 2 is the standby. And if you look at the another one, actually this one you can see, this is the primary. The test one is the primary. And you also, I told you like if you have a tile cache data store, I told you like we need to have minimum 3 machines. So you can see here in tile cache, it will work in different way, not like in 10.8 onwards, like it will work in a different way. And you can see here, like all these servers, not primary, and then you can see the role is a cluster member. So that means it's all like the odd number I used for the configuration, the minimum 3. Also the similar for the spatial temporal. You need to have minimum 3 data store. So these are the just quick demo for the RGS enterprise based deployment. Now let's see like what we need to be consider. What are the key points you can keep in mind when you are deploying a RGS enterprise highly available. So first thing you need to consider also your enterprise geodatabase. Okay, that should be also highly available. I'm talking about only I talk about only the RGS enterprise. You need to consider your, for example, enterprise, you have a database with Oracle or whatever you are using, the DBFS, that should be highly available. If you are using the file-based data, that should be also highly available. We need to have a back like a SAN or something, it should be stored. And the software, like in consider the web server and load balancer should be highly available, and file server, network. And also you need to have a strong people like your JS admin or IT people also should have you need to have a highly available for the people level as well. Like if something happen is the JS admin is not available, right? You need to have someone already in the backup. So these are the things for the high availability. Now let's move to the next topic, like the disaster recovery. So here we will talk about like disaster recovery using the geographical redundancy. Then we'll talk more about like what is geographical redundancy, and we'll talk more about the GSDR tool and how we can back up and restore your like in RGS enterprise deployment, like from the base deployment, how we can take the backup and restore it in the DR side. So if you look at the quick overview here, like geographic redundancy, redundant data center means the two data center, for example, you can see here in different region. For example, one is in Dubai and another is in Al-Ain region. And once the active and one is you can consider as a passive. The primary data center down due to some disaster or something, we can able to switch over. You switch to your standby data center, and we also how we will talk more about how the concept is and how we can make it. And also we'll talk more about the WebGSDR tool, that is the one actually taking the backup of your enterprise deployment, and how finally that how the recovery option and all these things we will discuss in this session. So let's have an high level like overview about the geographical redundancy. So you can see here the first one, like you can see I have a data center in Dubai, and I have already configured with RGS. So like my RGS enterprise deployment here, all the components are here, and we have configured with the portal with my public URL, and also the RGS server also connected with the same URL. And the another side, the standby data center in Ally also have a similar configuration, like you need to have the same number of machine and configure identically, and also the same URL we configure here. So what will happen, like you can see like every day, like we can synchronize, but from the primary to secondary, it's always have a synchronization. So that we'll talk more about how we can synchronize, take the backup and synchronize. So this data center and the primary and the standby is already synchronized. If any disaster happen on the data center level, because if it's a like a single component, there is no problem, because it will the high availability take over, the other machine will work. The data center itself is failed, then you can see like what we can do. Only thing actually, we need to just flip the traffic to the standby. That means the standby also configured based on the private public URL, and everything is configured identically here, and data also synchronized. So your end user will not have any field, because they will use the same URL and everything. Actually, they will not feel whether it is connected to the primary and the standby data center. This is the way. And once the standby, the primary become like, you fix the issue and become ready, and also you can come back to the primary as well. So this is the concept of the disaster recovery also. So we'll talk more about that one, like how actually we can achieve this DR. Okay, and let's see that on how we can make the duplicated environment between the primary and data center and the standby, and how we can take the snapshot, backup, and duplication between the servers, and also like how we can like monitor if any component is like down, actually how we can switch over to the primary and the secondary data center. And let's have a look at here the duplication. So number of machines is really always recommend to have the number of machine to be identical in both the primary and the the secondary data center. And in that's basically like in this case, if you have all the like no drop of redundancy and performance, everything will be same. And like that's up to the organization. Like some organization doesn't want to have the identical, that is also fine, but actually we recommend always to have the high the duplicate environment in both sides. And also like the URLs to be identical, and the service and the public, like how we can achieve there is a confusion. There is nothing like once you configure everything in this one, here in the standby you can make actually with the DNS entry the same names, so that can be achieved. There is no big issue for that. And also the identical path for the database connections. So for example, if you are using here the DNS entry, make sure that one the database is connected different, but actually to have the same DNS entry and the connection details. And the next, like you can see that one throughout these releases is we have been reducing this requirement for the WebGSTR. They introduced that one. There are a lot of like the limitation or like challenges. We can see that one in 10.4 and all the machine name should be same, that most company have the problem. And the server path directories, and like this one from the 10.6 they lifted some of those requirements, and the machine name should not be like the same actually that they lifted. And 10.6 and 0.1 and 7 and above, only we need to just consider the public URL should be same and the reference data, that's all. And also and these are the things for the like we need to be considered when you want to have the like a proper DR plan. So next actually we will talk more about that like the backup, how like actually we can synchronize take the enterprise backup from the primary to the secondary, the standby data center. So we'll talk about the backup now. So basically the backup is familiar with everyone. Easy to way to avoid the data loss and the downtime. You can perform like the live backup. The hot backup means there is no downtime required for taking the backup. There are a lot of backups. You guys know that one, like the VM level backup, file server backup, software backups, all familiar. And RGS database backup and RGS enterprise. So RGS enterprise can be backed up in a different ways while using the WebGSTR tool. So WebGSTR tool, so this you can find this tool, actually this is part of the portal installation. Like if you go to the portal installation directory, you can see under the tools, there is a folder called WebGSTR. So under that, you can see this tool. So this tool, we need to actually focus that one, what it can be backup. So what are things should be backup? So it will backup complete your enterprise based deployment, including your setting, data, portal content, data store, and all these things. It will be services and all type of data store, everything like the relational and scene tile, and all this will backup. Okay, now actually there is also, it's equally important that one we need to know that one what it shouldn't backup. So you can see here your specifically any data within your enterprise database, like the SQL or Oracle or Postgre, these kind of things, actually this tool will not backup. So that you can always go with the backup tool provided by the DBMS provider. Oracle, for example, they have Oracle RAC, or SQL also have it can be replicate the data between the primary and the secondary data center, and also the traditional cache files. So this is because due to the huge size, it cannot be backed up. but we can back up like you can replicate this one from the primary to the standby by using the SAN level or the IT, like people know SAN level or block level replication, we can do it. And so how, and the next one, so how we can we can prepare this backup file. So you can see these are the property. You can, once you go to that location which I mentioned, and you can see a property file. So once you open this property file, I will show you that one or how it's look like. These are the things you need to consider: where you want to store the, what kind of file system or in the cloud, and what kind of data store, and the location, and portal admin. You need to provide the URL and the username, password, and define actually what kind of backup. It's a full backup or increment backup. This we need to define in the file. I'll just show you the file which I created here. See, you can see here, this is the file. This is the file actually, the WebGS DR property file. It will be look like this one. The only thing actually we need to put like these are the things we need to be mandatory to put: the service location. So this is the location where I want to stage this like the backup, and make sure all your component like portal, server, and data store, it will have an access. All this machine have an access to this location, because it will copy, like it will take the backup of all these components. And also, like in the provider, you need to mention what kind of, for example, if you're doing with the files like a cloud, they need to put the Amazon, that cloud system. Then I'm using it as a file system here, and also the stage where you want to stage this backup. So this is also, I am giving the same location. Then after that, in the portal properties session, you need to put the admin URL here. So you can see here the admin URL. So this basically will provide the external name with the web adapter name, and also you need to provide the portal admin username and password, and the backup mode. If you enter the full backup or increment, then you need to define it here. Once you have this file ready, then let's actually run how to run this file. So when you're taking the backup, it doesn't require any downtime. So you need to just go to this in the portal machine. You can go to this location where the tool is there. Then you can just this command webgsdr.bat, and you can use the export command and choose the property file. So this will continue like taking the backup of your entire RGS environment, the RGS enterprise environment. This might take actually like more than 1 hour or something. Depends on your like the content of the data content and the configuration size of the machine and everything. It depends. And when you restore, it's like in the standby machine, it's required, because when the restore process is downtime is required, and we will use the similar way in that machine. I will use the same command with here. You will use the export. You will import that property file. In this property file, we need to mention that one where the backed up file will be there. So it will refer that backup file. Then it will take the restore process. So this backup also can be like you can put in you can have a full backup or increment. No need to have a daily full backup to make your the network because a big actually there is a network traffic, right? So we can plan the backup like this one. If you can see like a Sunday, you can see the full backup, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can say take the the incremental backup, and again the next Sunday you can take the full backup. This is the way we can follow the backup structure. And this backup also can put in if you don't want to run in a manual. If you want to put like a scheduler, we can use the Windows scheduler. Only thing actually you define the time and all just to convert actually this WebGSDR the property file in the bat file, and you can run it that way. And once you have the you complete that one, you can finish. That means actually daily that whatever the time you mention based on your business requirement, you can put this time. So these are the we already covered actually the disaster recovery and the backup as well, and then initially we covered about the highly available portal as well. So the conclusion, you can see here, these are the important things you need to consider I hope everything is clear. Like if you want to have a like successful GIS implementation, you need to consider all this one: high availability, disaster recovery, and the backup. These all things we discuss. And some of the important point I want to discuss also, like for the especially where admin and the IT people need to understand that one, how they're replicating the file server or data server database between the two location. And also have, they need to be familiar with the monitor tools. It's important to detect when the failure happen, what is the decision they need to, like for example, if you have full level, like a single component, maybe actually the high ability take, what is the switchover, like we need to plan, like the disaster complete down, how it will be moved to the like the disaster site, the standby site, and come back from the standby to all this we need to plan. And also like important to run the DR drills. So you configure everything, but actually we want to make sure that one, the everything is configured and the validated properly. So we need to have a quarterly or like the DR drills, actually simulating actual events. And also the WebGS DR tool, we need to find how long it's taking the backup and from the primary, and how long it's take to the restore process. All these things we need to consider. Then only like you can, based on your plan, actually, for example, some of the company have their RTO and RPO, the to decide that one when it can be resolved and what kind of data loss, everything they need to be considered if you want to have the proper disaster recovery and these systems. So I hope everything is clear for the all the what we discussed. Have, if you have any things like related to the topics, like if you have anything you want to discuss with me later, you can always reach me. My mobile number is I'm having my mobile number here. Also, you can reach me at my email address. Thank you everyone.